Japan has announced that it will start releasing massive amounts of contaminated water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant into the sea. Now, the water has been stored in tanks at the plant since it was destroyed by a tsunami and an earthquake in 2011. Japan says that the decision was unavoidable and that the water will be diluted to meet international standards before it's released in about 2 years' time. Japan's neighbors, South Korea and China, have condemned the proposal, as have environmental groups and local fishing communities. Let's bring in Shaun, a senior nuclear specialist at Greenpeace. He's joining us from Scotland. Welcome to the program, and thank you for joining us. Your reaction to this move? I mean, the water here is reportedly going to be treated, diluted. Can it be safe?
No, absolutely not. And the Japanese government and the owner of the site, Tokyo Electric, have shown over the years that they cannot be trusted with their assurances. These discharges are going to maybe start in 2 years' time, but it's at least 30 years of nuclear waste dumping in the Pacific that will result.
They say it's unavoidable for their part. So, I mean, what do you make of that claim? And do you see an alternate way to potentially deal with the problem?
The clear alternative has existed for years, and that's long-term storage. We forced TEPCO to admit in 2019 that, in fact, land space on the site was available. In fact, the government's own committee that investigated this issue concluded last year that land would be available outside the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. So the 2022 idea that it's running out of space is a myth, and it just serves the interests of the government, which wants to basically dump this problem into the Pacific.
Okay, and we've heard that neighbors are reacting, South Korea, China, for example. This decision might presumably have far-reaching consequences for nations such as those. Just walk us through what those might be.
So the radioactivity that will be released, different types of radioactive materials, radioactive tritium, which a percentage of which becomes organically bound into cells, human cells, fish cells, but other radioactive isotopes like strontium-90, which would be released by these discharges, concentrates in the bones of both fish and humans, increasing cancer risks. So the communities in Korea, China that are opposed to this, as well as in Japan itself, know that this is an ongoing threat that must be stopped. So what you're going to see, I think, over the coming weeks, months, and even years, is increasing opposition to the Japanese government's decision. And I remain optimistic, actually, that we can stop this.
What does it mean for humans?
So any radioactivity that's released into the environment will have a consequence. Obviously, it depends what type of radioactivity, how that moves through the environment, how it bioaccumulates, for example, in seafood. Japan, Korea, China, they eat a lot of seafood, a lot of seaweed. That will become contaminated, and that increases the risk. Doesn't mean there's an inevitability that it's guaranteed that you will have a health effect, a cancer effect, but it increases the radiation burden, and that's not acceptable.
Shaun Burnie, senior nuclear specialist at Greenpeace, thank you so much for joining us to share your view on this move from the Japanese government that has been announced. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.